Let's start this awesome 2.5 hour session with Dr. Amit Porwal, who's a member scientific committee, senior consultant and head of the glaucoma department at Chaitra Netralia Indore, a surgeon of great repute who's going to show his piece of wisdom. On to you, Dr. Amit. You could share.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra and team ARC for inviting me for this great webinar on cataract surgery. I'm going to show you in this 4 minutes a video on a posterior polar cataract and how an uneventful surgery became an eventful surgery and how well it was managed, what were the mistakes which I did and which should not be done in the future. So waiting for the inputs from the extreme panelists, and now I start my video. So this is a case of posterior polar cataract wherein as my routine procedure, I do a temporal phaco. I had marked the 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock position because was implanting an in-focus trifocal IOL of Apaswamy. So the two side ports were done with an MVR, and under the air bubble, the entry capsule was stained with trypan blue dye, and sodium hyaluronate was injected before starting the rexis. So now after injecting sodium hyaluronate, I make my 2.8 mm clear corneal incision. So after that, to get a perfect circular central rexis, I mark the rexis with the help of a rexis marker on the cornea. The tip to do this is you should have a dry cornea before you mark with the rexis marker. Never moisten the cornea when you use the rexis marker. The advantage of this rexis marker is, especially when you're using these premium IOLs, it gives you a rough estimate that your rexis is central circular and is not getting decentered. And it will always gives you a guide if you're going away from the center. So I marked the rexis marker and I proceeded with my capsular rexis. A perfect capsular rexis was achieved. Always follow all the trips of capsular rexis which you have been learned and which have been taught by your seniors and your mentors. So I follow that, and now a partial hydrodissection is done. What I do in PPC is I use partial aliquots of hydrodissection and do hydrodelineation. So multiple hydrodelineation is done at multiple sites so that you get the golden rings at various places or various golden rings. And once it is done, then I try to rotate only the central nucleus. The dictum in PPC is never rotate the nucleus, but if you have done a hydrodelineation, the central nucleus is there that you can dislodge it. So the preferred technique is top and chop, but since this was a very soft, there was no nucleus at all, I just aspirated the central nucleus under the very low settings. And whenever we are doing a PPC case, I always use a low power setting. That is, the water height should be low, the power should be low, and the vacuum should be low. So once the central nucleus is aspirated, in the epinucleus mode, I'm trying to peel off the epinucleus and the remaining cortex from all 360 degrees with the help of a phaco probe. And you can see whenever we are going to withdraw the phaco probe, we should always maintain the entry chamber by injecting the viscoelastic to the side port. So now, after I did, the subincisional cortex or the epinucleus was there, which I'm trying to dislodge it. But you make sure when you're dislodging it, you don't dislodge the central PPC core. You just try to dislodge the peripheral epinucleus. You should not dislodge the central epinucleus core. So I did that. And after dislodging the peripheral epinucleus, I'm trying to aspirate it. And you can see that when I'm aspirating, the PPC also gets aspirated. So if we go at the grading of the posterior polar cataract, basically there are 3 grades, grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3. That is the OCT based grading of the PPC. And this was grade 2, even though I don't have an intraoperative OCT. But you can see that the PPC component came out. The PC is intact. It is very thin. PPC is intact. So it's a grade 2, type 2 PPC on the OCT classification. So you can see it's a closed chamber technique. All the cortex which was there is being aspirated with the help of a biomineral technique. The central posterior capsule behind the PPC is still intact. But you see, when I withdrew my irrigation aspiration port, I didn't maintain the anterior chamber by injecting the viscoelastic. In the haste, I just withdrew it, and you can see that whatever thinned out PC was there, it started giving away. So the instrument touch was not there. Patient was lying down. I took out my irrigation aspiration port. There was sudden decompression, and the posterior capsule gave way. So this is very common in PPC because the posterior capsule is so thin. If you don't form the anterior chamber, by injecting viscoelastic before withdrawing your instruments, there are chances that this type of situation can arise. So again, this rent had occurred and this patient was very uncooperative. This was a young female, 37 years old. So she was very uncooperative. So I thought of using visco and aspirate the dry aspiration of the cortex, and then automated vitrectomy was done. You can see that the PCR, whatever had occurred, is maintained. It has not enlarged beyond that. I'm doing an automated vitrectomy. So when you're doing the automated vitrectomy, you have to be careful that there's no vitreous fan. And the same Infocus IOL which was planned is implanted into the capsular bag. You can see the central ring of the Infocus IOL, the central button of the Infocus IOL. Now, after injecting the IOL, the visco is washed, and you can see throughout that the pupil is well dilated. There's no surge at all when we are doing the case. I've injected pilocarpine to see whether the IOL is centered properly or not. And you can see that the IOL is centered properly. The pupillary opening is nicely centered. And this is the way this case was managed. So the only advice what I would give through this case is that never allow sudden decompression when you're doing a PPC case, even though we don't have a PCR, even though if you have an intact capsule, never give sudden decompression, never withdraw your instrument suddenly, always maintain the entry chamber by injecting viscoelastic through your side. Thank you, and waiting for input from the esteemed panelists and the moderators.
Thank you, Dr. Amit. That was
Very nice.
one video so clearly explained. So let me get to you. I don't know whether everybody noticed, the first wave was a hydro dissection wave which moved through, which was there, but it may not have been the cause of the PCR which occurred. And definitely those multiple hydro dissection delineations create those multiple layers of cushion which protects the posterior capsule. But when we saw that PCR, I noticed that you've enlarged your side ports to introduce the Simcoe. I feel you could have used those PC polishing mode itself and remove the remaining cortex, because it makes sense to have snug fit side ports with the vitreous not getting too hydrated and going and removing that cortex, and the PCR would not have enlarged because it was a circumscribed one. So your thoughts,
Actually,
Manipal, you have anything to add?
The reason to enlarge the side port, Dr. Chitra, was that
I want Manipal to talk.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dr. Amit, you have very nicely highlighted what all is supposed to be done as regards the posterior polar cataract. A couple of advices that I'll give is that we do have the anterior segment OCT, etc. that's available. Even the IOL Master 700 can give you. So it's always visible whenever you see a posterior polar cataract. For all those who have a device in the form of a anterior attachment of an OCT and the IOL Master 700, they can get an image. The second thing is also a good slit lamp examination will also will show whether there is a pre-existing rent or not, and you need to be extra careful. In case you are going towards suspicious cases, I would always prefer to do them under a block, because what you said was that there are patients who the patient was non-cooperative or uncooperative, so that situation can be avoided, and it's always better to do it under a block. Apart from that, I think the way you managed with the hydro delineation and not a dissection and also not a rotation are the important things that have to be done. Your tip of having a posterior capsular rent, even though there isn't a rent, but there is a weakness. So often these posterior polar cataracts are associated with weaknesses at that place, which are not actually a rent at that time. And a sudden upthrust can give that into a rent. I would have always kept a 3-piece as a standby. You can make that into posterior capsular access if that is there. I would also think of possibly implanting a IOL before, because there was a little amount of cortex that was left, and you could, with a scaffold of the IOL keeping the vitreous back, you could kind of remove the cortex later on. And obviously, we have publications, Dr. Namrata has also joined in, and others have also experienced that if you have a flax system, you can easily identify whether there is a pre-existing rent or not. And there is 100% of the cases we have been able to identify if this will have a rent or it will not have a rent. But overall, I think your tips that you have given, and also one thing, bimanual aspiration in such situations with lowering the bottle height and the parameters is also something very, very important. And as you were trying to do, maybe we could have removed the top part and then gone towards pulling out the central PPC. You should do that towards the last. So even if you strip the epinucleus or the cortex, just try to preserve the central part, strip it to the mid periphery rather than stripping it to the center, because once you peel off the center, that is when the rent would come. So overall, I think you managed it very well. Good
About
tips, and whatever additional I wanted to add, I just have added.
Thank
the
you.
use of enlarging the incision and use of Simcoe, like I wanted the answer for that.
Actually, the biomanual dropped out when I was doing the biomanual.
You can do a dry aspiration. That is the advantage of a Simcoe, but I don't know where our Simcoes are because we hardly use them. But lowering the bottle height, putting viscoelastic into the chamber and using an aspiration as a side port is going to be as effective as a Simcoe. Simcoe, I think the way with a bimanual, you will get a good thing. There's no harm in using a Simcoe. I don't personally use it, but there's absolutely no harm. That's called dry aspiration, which we typically used to do when we used to have rents. I think that's your question, or you had anything else?
Enlarging the incision.
Yeah,
And
Chitra
I think
wants.
incision 3, a new
Can I add something, Chitra?
new incision, because you will have to have, you shouldn't struggle at that particular time to insert the Simcoe cannula. I think that's the reason why.
The biomanual is 20 gauge and
Yeah.
Simcoe is not 20 gauge. Simcoe
Yeah.
is 24 gauge. So we have to enlarge the incision.
That is why you need to be snug fit side ports. So why do that? You could have continued with what.
There you go. Yeah,
That's what I told, that the biomanual, because the patient was uncooperative, my assistant started panicking. So she dropped the biomanual. So now there's no biomanual, and instead of waiting to get another set from the CHSD, I thought Simcoe is always there at the standby in all our sets. So let me continue with the Simcoe itself. And the only thing which I wanted to stress was in spite of all this, the sudden decompression was the main reason for the PCR, and 3-piece IOL was there at the standby. But because the rent was not big and the bag was proper, so I implanted the InFocus lens itself, and the patient is having post-operatively very good vision. So the dictum what most of us say, that if you have a rent and if you are implanting a multifocal or a trifocal IOL, you have to be very careful that it is properly centered. Otherwise, in the case of a rent, don't implant these premium IOLs. So this was the thing which I also wanted to highlight, other than the rent.
I think
Just
the IOL was
just want to
perfectly,
have,
IOL was perfectly centered because you could see the Purkinje images right in the center, the 3 images of the filament right in the center, you know, when the patient was looking up. So centration was good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, Mohan.
yeah,
No,
plaque.
actually, let me compliment Amit for the wonderful video, but certain things I would have done differently. One is, this is not a pre-existing dehiscence of the PPC. Okay, the pre-existing dehiscence, you will see like 2 pillars on the posterior capsule. It's not like, it's probably because as an upthrust, no, the PC is weak, and because you're not injected viscoelastic, it is opened up. And obviously there is vitreous also there. There is an anterior hyaloid also ruptured in vitreous. You cannot use Simcoe, manual Simcoe for this, because there is vitreous already there. You can't just use Simcoe and aspirate in the presence of vitreous in the anterior chamber. So that's ruled out completely. Second thing is, when you have a PC tear, and you got away this in this case, but putting a single piece lens in the bag without doing a posterior capsular Rex is a little dangerous. Because sometimes, most of the times what happens is, when you try to put the lens, the PC tear will start extending. But when you convert that into a posterior capsular Rex, Maipal said it very nicely, I think that is the best way to make sure that the posterior capsule is strong enough to hold the lens in the bag. So
This
I would
posterior
have
capsular rent was like a PCC itself. It was nice circular opening.
Prescribed PCR, so he could get away in those situations.
Yeah, probably you got a better. I would have converted that into a small posterior capsular Rexis because I want the stronger edges there and make sure that otherwise I would have put a multi-piece lens and captured the lens in the capsular Rexis margin, and no rotation of the nucleus, no hydrodissection, and only hydrodelineation. Nowadays I'm doing flags for all PPC, even if the patient does not pay. I do the flags because for me personally, after seeing Maipal's paper and also experience over a period of time, personally I feel that flags definitely the intraoperative control is much better than your manual phaco.
Is there any role for doing a primary capsular, posterior capsular Rexis with flax?
What?
In posterior
As
polar
of,
cataract,
no, as of now, you can't do that.
You can't
The
do that.
process
No, you
isn't
can't do with
permitted.
the
Obviously, you will have to have the everything out, and then you have to put a suture and then do that. So that is still
why,
not.
why it is not possible, sir? Is it because there is no license for that, or because
No,
the
no, no, no,
License.
no, sir.
cannot
No, we have to
focus.
open we already opened the eye, no.
No, Mohan, they are trying it for doing a posterior capsular access even in children. So as of now, the software and the license is not available. So it has to be an FDA approved procedure. So still that is not available. But I think it is very much in the future it will be available, because even the femtolaser is now being used for retinal surgeries, for even epiretinal membranes and things like that, or cutting membranes. So that will sooner or later be available, but just now it's not available as a primary posterior capsular access.
Do you have any other question?
Yeah. Can I just make a comment, ma'am?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent case, Dr. Amit. One thing I wanted to ask you is, in these cases of PPC, where you probably expect a defect to occur on table, have you counseled the patient, because you're putting a premium multifocal IOL, that in case there is a problem, you would not do it, and how would you
Every
manage that?
patient of PPC is counseled in
Yes.
3 terms. One is, I may not implant the same oil which I have promised. Second is, you have to be ready for an extended hour of surgery. Third is, you have to be ready for a second surgery also later on. If in case due to anything I'm not able to inject the IOL in the same sitting, these 3 points are always stressed and written on the file also before we
Yes,
take this
exactly.
patient for
This is
surgery.
what I wanted. Right.
Ravi, regarding
Thanks.
your question
Do we
regarding
want-
usage of femtosecond for posterior capsular access, I think it is possible mechanically, but obviously you don't want to have an open posterior capsule with the lens matter inside. So that is the challenge. So obviously you can focus on the anterior capsule, then on the posterior capsule, especially if the lens is clear. But if you create a rexus, posterior rexus with the lens matter inside, obviously that will be quite a mess. So you have to remove everything and redock to create a posterior rexus. And regarding Amit, your case, I mean, excellent case, very well managed. And I think you brought out that pearl. I keep emphasizing this of using the capsular rexus marker. It's such a simple, elegant device, but I don't know why everybody doesn't use it. You have 5.5 millimeter mark, and you follow the inside of it. Every time you end up with a 5 millimeter rexus. I think that's something everyone should adapt. And as regards the other points, I feel that, this partial hydrodissection, I somehow just don't believe in. I think, I mean, it's you just don't have that kind of a control when you're manually doing it. So it's always a good idea to stick to just hydro delineation, though that was not the cause for your rent in this particular case. And I believe the best way to do it for the listeners is that you go into the substance of the nucleus, hit the hard nucleus, and there you give a gentle push, and you get the just the good hydrodelineation alone. And I think keeping the chamber well formed with the viscoelastic is extremely important. And if only it had been tightened up, maybe this complication would not have arisen. I can't agree more with Maipal and Mohan as regards the usage of 3-piece lenses in these cases. We actually have a +4 diopter 3-piece lenses always in stock in case a multifocal lens is promised and we end up with this kind of a situation. That's the lens which goes in. And finally, I think today we have reached a stage where any case where you have a vitreous loss, I think it's not right to leave the eye behind without doing injecting a little bit of diluted tricot and making sure that there's no vitreous in AC. Maybe you did that, but that was not missing. But I think that's even after everything is over, you can just through a tricot, you can inject a little bit and make sure there are no strands in the vitreous.
Actually, you could even do a visco dissection after that endonucleus is out, because the bag is no longer distended. So, and there's a great ease in removing the other cortex and everything without traumatizing the zonules, because sometimes it gets difficult to do because you haven't done a hydro rotation. So we shall now go on to the next case. Anaga, you could introduce Dr. Srini.
Very nice, Amit.
Thank you.